no sir. Me no mix up in a coca. Marijuana no dust to the nose ya. I no powder, not a obia. Can't get over. Look at me now, when them treat me less than gold. Put me in a box like a rectangle. Oh, oh. Look at me now, look at me now, look at me now. I mean, I tell you my life, when them used to go round me, go round. No one used to come round me. My life was so lonely. Look at me now, look at me now, look at me now. Me and thank God for me blessing. No, me can afford to give back to some of the same people. Them we used to set things, I don't used to set him. Now bust him, can't bust them. Same one I take bust. Come on, stay trophy, call up them, but me still a call up them. Bust them, but me can't trust them. See them, but me not touch. No, hit them, but me can't love them.
99.9 WEFM. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Alrighty, good morning to everybody. We're back with you for another Activated Mornings here on WEFM. So it is a beautiful Monday morning. I don't know how you look at beauty, but some persons look at rain as being a beautiful type of day that you could have. All right, so it all depends on you. You can take beauty from just about anything. All right, so trust that everybody had a great weekend and you are up and you're ready and excited to get going for another day. All right, so Dianna, good morning to you.
Morning, Roleza. Good morning to everyone. As Roleza said, we're back. It's Monday and we're gonna have a great day. Okay, we are going to have a
you took a sigh before you said that though.
Let's ignore that.
Yeah, all right. No, normally this is the time when we would see some comment. We would get commentary from Peejohn, but we haven't seen any signs of him as yet. So I'm hoping that Peejohn is okay. I noticed that he wasn't on Is Your Hand yesterday on yesterday's program. So Peejohn, just trusting that everything is okay with you. All right. And good morning to people like Anne and those in the US. All right. Yes, you have a big holiday. You can show yourself properly on us this morning. All right. It is the Memorial Day holiday. And for those who may not know what Memorial Day is about, it's honoring and mourning the US military personnel who died while serving in the US Armed Forces. All right. So that is they're having a holiday today. So I noticed this morning when I was listening to the news that some places are expecting a lot of rain. So I don't know if it's also the same thing that is happening here, where it might be overcast or it's raining. But, you know, you have a holiday, try and enjoy it as best as you possibly can. All right? Mm-hmm. All right. And how was your weekend, Dianna?
It was a normal weekend. I was inside for most of it. Unfortunately, I know outside was banging, outside was hot, but I just had to look at pictures.
And yeah, your name didn't call for the truck.
No.
So, but a woman did win it, yes. Right? So yes. Yeah, if there's any consolation, we stand in with her as a woman for having won that vehicle. All right,
please.
All right, so wherever it is that you are traveling from this morning, for those of you in a Georgetown van, those of you from Sight Rivers, Qualaqua, Cleverly, those of you in Union Island, I try to figure out all the other places that we mispronounce. I can't remember the rest. It's Qualaqua for sure, Georgetown. Mm-hmm, yes, Sight Rivers, Cleverly, Camp Park, right? Camp Park is another one. Mm-hmm. What other words we mispronounce here in Vinci? What are the names of villages? Y'all can let us know on your WhatsApp, all right? But wherever it is that you are listening to us from, if you're any of those vehicles, traveling or in a bus or van traveling from those directions, special good morning to you. All right, so let's get into. Oh, good morning to you, Miss Joseph. Miss Joseph, were you in Park on Saturday? You could just answer on your WhatsApp. Were you in Park on Saturday? I was looking at the individual and I said, "Well, sure, this look like Mrs. Joseph, right?" So, Mrs. Joseph, you could answer. Let me see. Oh, kettles. All right, yeah. So kettles, not kettles, but kettles. Yes. Yes, Miss Joseph. Good morning. I saw you. All right. All right, so let's get into a few stories at this time. Not necessarily so positive, but stories have to be told. All right, things have to be told. So on Friday, the gentleman who, well, I'm reading this from my witness news. So a gentleman who was accused of robbing the MP's wife, Alsaboto Caesar's wife, Dr. Twana Brown Caesar, was found dead on Friday with gunshot wounds. All right. So Denzel Harry, also known as Glenville Harry, he's 42 years old, a farmer, was found at home around 7:35 a.m. after residents who had heard gunshots during the night went to check on him. All right. So the story talks about how Mr. Harry and some other co-accused, they were charged with robbing Mrs. Brown Caesar. All right. And so this gentleman was found dead on Friday morning. And so just reading this story, I thought what was interesting for me was during his sentencing, a comment was made by Justice Carter that he had been trying to demonstrate efforts at rehabilitation by engaging in gainful employment. All right. And it was stated that he had started. Oh, let me read before. All right. So Justice Carter said efforts to secure permanent employment had not been successful because potential employers did not continue his employment on learning of his last conviction and sentence. And that at sentencing, Harry had been engaged in farming on land belonging to his father in Vermont, where he had been growing watermelon and corn. And on weekends, he had been selling barbecue in the village, right? I only read that part of it because, yes, I know that he was charged and he was sentenced before with regards to other burglary. But I also took away from the article that he did find difficulty in gaining employment, having coming out of prison, and that he tried to find ways to be self-employed. All right. Now, I'm not saying this in the context of, I don't know if he was reformed necessarily at the time of his death, but I do know that this is one of the instances where many persons who have found themselves convicted of crimes and who went to jail, whenever they come out, they may have been trying to find ways to change, to become better, but sometimes society reminds them of who they were in the past, and it makes it difficult for them to try. But in the end, he was trying to be gainfully employed, self-employed. Now, again, I am not saying that I know anything else about this gentleman. I don't know if he was doing these things and maybe still in conflict with other persons. I don't know, right? But that is just what it is that I took away from the story, because I noticed that many persons, as usual, were on Kenton's case about the headline, all right? About the headline, but the headline gave us information as to who he was, because by itself, I would not have been able to link and know that this was a gentleman or one of the gentlemen who was involved in that particular robbery. But, I think sometimes we don't always like to hear the honest truth about persons, and maybe, yes, bringing up his past, if he was indeed trying to change, may not be helpful in that situation, but a fact is a fact. All right. So, yeah.
And I mean, they're always going on with Kenton about his headlines, but the man is a journalist. You're supposed to have a headline that is going to capture people, because according to what certain headlines are, people just gonna scroll past. Anybody got time? But when you see something like, oh, this song's like it's worth the read, you go in for the read. That's what your headline is supposed to do.
And that's the thing, unless people. So it's two things about the headlines, right? Unless you put a particular headline, persons may not look to read the articles, right?
Yeah.
But I also recognize that all people do sometimes is read the headlines and not the actual article.
That's so true.
Right? So that is another thing that frustrates me with people, is like, did you actually read the article? If you read the article, you would understand that there was more to what was just than what was just stated in the headline. But anyhow, right? So that is story number one. All right, and on a sad note, I think this was yesterday. Reading this as well from Eyewitness News, but other publications also have it. Police responded to a report that a young man in Lowman's Wynwood died on Sunday evening, reportedly from a self-inflicted gunshot injury. The circumstances surrounding the death are not clear at this time. However, Eyewitness News understands that the firearm in question, let me just turn this down because I think that I'm shouting. Eyewitness News understands that the firearm in question belongs to one of the youth's relatives who has a permit to hold the weapon, but is reportedly overseas. All right. And from another publication, because I know when I saw this part of it, that the weapon belongs to somebody who's overseas, I was wondering where was the weapon. But another publication said that it was actually in a safe. All right. So while this story is still developing, there are persons who have speculated, and other news sites have speculated or stated that it was suicide. I am not sure if that indeed is what happened. I suppose we may have to wait on family members to state. But this young man, as far as the news reporter saying that he's 19 years old, as in 19 years old. All right. And he graduated from college last year. So
either way, whether he committed suicide or let's say he accidentally shot himself, either way, it is so horrible. So horrible for them. I mean, we don't have anything else to go on at this point. So I'm really waiting to see what is going to be the report from the police and, how the experts are going to figure out what exactly happened.
Yeah, I suppose maybe to help to figure it out, they'd have to speak to family members to know what his state of mind might have been at the time of his passing. But, it's just really sad. At 19 is young, all right? Yeah. It is young, and you literally have your entire life before you, all right? So we're not going to comment too much on it. Yes, I know what some articles have said, what some publications have said, but we'd await official information as to that, and then we would come back and, maybe just speak a little bit to young people, depending on what the outcome is, all right? All right, and in other news, pleased to note that the police are going to be having a press conference this morning, starting at 9. They're going to have a press briefing, and apparently it is good news in one context that details what is being speculated is what one publication said is that persons have been charged with regards to the shooting of the 3 persons in Belmont not last Friday, the Friday before, right? So it appears as though that is what the press briefing is going to be about at 9 o'clock. So we are going to get a bit more information with regards to that situation, maybe other additional information from the police at that time as well.
I'm just sorry. I just sitting here. Well, before, and I was thinking how interesting it is that you'd have a period of quietness when nothing is happening. Like it's just quiet, and the minute one thing happens, it's like something else. So this weekend you hear some killing. Next weekend there's going to be another killing, or in the week there's another killing, and then there's just this series of events, and then there's this quiet period again where there's nothing, and in the minute you hear of one thing happening, then there's another. That's interesting. I would like to study that.
But that is generally life, though. You've never noticed when one thing in your life goes wrong or happens, then you realize that other things happen, and then we try to say the devil busy, right? But it might just be coincidence sometimes. And I suppose in what you just mentioned, I think we would prefer to hear that there is a quiet period, right, Dianna?
Yeah,
we would prefer to hear that. We would like to hear a quiet period all the time, but we would not want to hear of continuous activity week after week or weekend after weekend, So, yeah. And quickly, just to let you know, for those of you who find it difficult maybe to catch up on police-related information, the police have launched their own YouTube page, all right? So there is going to be weekly updates from the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force with regards to arrests, to investigations, to safety alerts, and so much more. So you can check out the Facebook page for the RSVG Police Force, but they have their own YouTube channel that you can get updates. All right. So I know, especially for persons in the diaspora, even persons here at home who find it difficult sometimes, to keep track. Even me. Despite the fact that we're working on air and we have to give updates and talk about different things, I find it sometimes very difficult to have to try to keep up. All right. So, to have one program or one episode that highlights the things that may have happened for the week, I welcome that. All right. I could sit down, I could listen to it and get as much information as I possibly can. All right. So commendations to the police for that particular initiative. And with that, we are heading on out of this segment and we are heading directly into today's traffic talk.